So this is my social skills project video 3, the analysis and reflection about my student Easton, who was very helpful on all of my filming. He is in 4th grade, and we did the Affirm Self-Management EBP for him because he was very interested in having fidget toys in each of his 3 classes with him, to the point where he would stop by my room without permission anytime he passed my room, which was quite often during the day, and he would stop by and ask for a fidget toy. And so that just led really well into doing this project with him. So we went through the steps. We printed out the form from Affirm, and on the form it had 5 happy faces. It suggested doing 5 tasks and getting the 5 happy faces, which I very quickly realized was not going to work for Easton. So we changed it to 4 out of 5, or 80%, and he needed to comply with teacher directions in class, whether he was asked specifically to do something or if it was a whole group or small group, just anything he was asked to do. And so the idea was each time he complied positively without grumbling or ignoring and some of the other behaviors that he exhibits, he would mark a happy face. If he was negative in his response, he would mark a sad face. And then once he earned 4 happy faces, he would get the fidget toy for the remainder of that class. Then he would return that to that spot in the class, and then the same process would happen in the other 2 classes. So some of the glitches that I ran into were that he was very happy to mark the happy faces, and the teachers really, they were keeping an eye on things, but I didn't want it to be something that they had to monitor the entire class period. But when he had a negative response, he would hem and haw and not do it, and then the teacher would have to stop what they were doing with the rest of the class to redirect him, and sometimes that would lead to some very loud disagreement from Easton, which of course we were trying to avoid. Now, I was not in class with him during those times. That is something that would have helped if I or one of my paras had been in there to sit with him until we got through a couple of days of it, but our schedules did not allow that. And the 3 teachers were willing to try the process, but they are not as invested in it as Easton is and as I was or am. And so it wasn't because they were trying to be difficult, it's just that they didn't really see the need for it. They thought he was managing class just fine without the fidget toys, and it was just something, once Easton gets a thought going, until it comes to fruition or he changes his mind and moves on to other topics, that is going to stay in the forefront of his mind. So every time I would see him, I would say, "Hi, Easton," and he'd say, "Fidgets." So that's kind of where we were with that. We did meet a couple of times and talk about it. His suggestion was that I laminate the form so he could just use a dry erase, which I told him was a great idea, which I hadn't thought of. And of course, the laminator was out of lamination for 1 week, and then it was broken for another week, and so we still have not laminated. So I think that is going to be my next step, is to have a laminated form for each of the 3 classes. I will provide them with the dry erase pen, and then I think we're going to go from there. Let's see if I can show this. I'm not a great camera woman.